Hold on, say recording.
This meeting
That's
is
it.
being recorded.
All
Yep,
right, well,
that's it.
I guess it worked, right?
That's
all right.
I recognize that from work calls.
Well, hello, everybody. I did start the recording of this our second Zoom meeting. If it's anything like last time, there's probably going to be people that kind of jump in a little bit later. And as they come in, we'll have a chance to meet them and introduce ourselves to them. We have some exciting stuff to talk about. And as this is being recorded, we could share this, to the Facebook group like we did last time. So all the content is going to be there. Okay. Just want to start off. Our community was hit twofold recently. We did lose two of the children. It's really one child and one adult, in fact, that lived to be 33 years old. But the first I want to talk about is his mother is a soldier, and she's with us here on the call is Laura Atkins. Her son Wyatt left us just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Time kind of goes pretty quickly. But I can't, Wyatt, I never met him in person, but I did go out to the Celebration of Life out there in St. Louis, and well, 3 hours outside of St. Louis, I should say. And when I walked into the building, I was overcome with emotion, seeing the pictures of Wyatt. And I walked in and I saw Laura for the very first time with my own eyes. And for those of us that may not be aware, Laura was one of the first couple of parents I connected with, her and Dante, of course. And we've had a very deep appreciation for each other and love for each other. And this connection, in a spiritual sense, from the shared experiences that we're having and the fight that we have. And I broke down. I was overcome with emotion when I saw her, and I gave her just a hug, and I gave Scott a hug. And it was just the feeling of just connectivity was so many different emotions. It was special, but it was also sad because I knew why we were there. And from that moment on, I had a chance to observe the family, and just see how much love was there for Wyatt. And I was just taken back with just what a beautiful, beautiful and special family that Laura and Scott have and Wyatt had. And I just see the raw emotion and the love they had for Wyatt. And Wyatt had this great, beautiful smile, always seemed to be happy. And I tell you what, I don't know if it's something with the genes of these kids. All these kids seem to be the happiest kids in the world. And I can't explain it, but I think it just says something about the family that's around them that lets them enjoy the time that they are here. And I just saw what impact that Wyatt had on his family, and it was nothing less than just special. I was impressed with just the caliber of people that are collectively in Laura's family. There's this special wholesomeness about that family that was just a breath of fresh air. I truly, they welcomed me with open arms. I felt like I was part of the family, and what a beautiful family it was. And it was an honor to be there and celebrate Wyatt with them. And that was something I will never forget. So we did lose Wyatt. And just to show how strong the family member is, I did give, Laura and I have been close, and I did give her, we're the 3 board members. It's going to be Laura, Dante, and myself are the board members of the foundation. And as Wyatt wasn't doing so well, in a very nice and delicate way, I approached Laura and I said, hey, you have a lot going on here. I understand if you want to, take a step back or how involved you would be. She answered right away, I'm going to be there. I'm part of this.
Wait.
And it was such a relief. And I'm like, I see the fight in her and I love every bit of it. And I was like, all right, you're part of it. We're going forward. That's what I wanted to hear, but I also wanted to be respectful and with many different things going on in her life. So that was my experience with the Atkins family, and much love to her and Wyatt. A few weeks after that, we did get some very surprising and sad news. We had a family that just, learned about the diagnosis not too long ago. They seem to be on a different trajectory. And as we learn about this disease, part of the research is there's two different trajectories. One seems to be there is a calcifications in cysts in the brain, a leukodystrophy, cognitive decline. The experience is that the kids expire within the second decade of life. But there seems to be another path where people live till their 30s and maybe even beyond. And matter of fact, we have one such person on the line with us today. We're definitely going to get to her. She's going to have a good amount of time so we can learn from her. And that's Barbara on the phone and on the line. And I believe she was an attorney, even in fact, and that's impressive. And you're actually the second attorney that with the disease that we've learned about. There was another child with we learned from the McDonald's that one of their children was an attorney as well, and that's impressive. But it definitely shows a distinct path where the cognitive decline is not apparent, and there's much elongated lifespan, which is wonderful. But we'd love to learn more about that. But we did lose Kenneth. Kenneth was 33 years old. We were just starting to learn about the community. He wanted to become involved in some of the scientific stuff that we have kind of festering right now that we need to find a way to take more action on with the doctors out of the United Kingdom and Europe. Mother was a lovely woman. We did talk a little bit online. I know Dante had some more interaction with her. And, it's just sad. It was out of left field. Just all of a sudden he had the GI bleeding and he expired short time after that. It was definitely a sad moment. We do hope that they remain involved in the foundation, but we will, everyone has their own path.
Yeah.
So,
if I may, Brian, share a little quick story on Kenneth. Just to tell you what kind of fight, I never got to meet him or speak to him, but I'll just kind of summarize what I did observe, the fight in Kenneth. So made the connection with Kenneth and via Messenger on Facebook, and he was pretty excited. He was open to having a conversation, an intake conversation with me. And, over the course of maybe 4 days, we had some Facebook Messenger messages kind of going back and forth. And then all of a sudden I didn't hear from him, which was a little odd to me because I had felt his energy and passion and willingness to participate up until that point. So I was getting a little concerned. I was out of town at the time, attending sales meetings, but I managed to find some time to reach out to the next best person on his Facebook circle, if you will, who I thought maybe knew him, which was Aurora. Turns out to be his mom. So I had reached out to her and said, "Hey, do you know Kenneth?" And said, "Oh yeah, that's my son." And I said, "Well, I hadn't heard from him for a while, and I'm part of the group." And he was pretty excited. And she said, "Okay." She apologized and said, "Well, I had to admit him into the hospital this weekend." So, right now he's in the hospital. And so shortly after, I was very respectful. I took a step back. Within the next 24 hours, I received a message from Kenneth from the hospital. And he said, "Hey, I'm here. I'm in the hospital. I'm still want to participate. Let me know what you need from me. I can do, whatever you need. I'm here." And I kept the messages, and I said to him, "No," I said, "Listen, you take care of yourself, stay strong." I said, "We'll be okay." And I told him I'll catch up with you once you leave the hospital. And his willingness, even knowing his situation at that time, being in a hospital, having a GI bleeding, but his willingness and his fight to still want to participate and give back to the community, and was just very impressive and something that'll stay with me for the rest of my life. And unfortunately, it was within 24 hours from that last message that I had received from him, and I sent him the emoji to stay strong, with the muscle emoji. We went back and forth, a couple of emojis. It was, 24 hours after that unfortunately he left us. So just wanted to share a little bit about his courage and fight up until the last minute, literally last hours of his life, and willingness to just give back and help out in any way. So I thought that was pretty admirable and something that'll stay with me for the rest of my life.
Well, this is part of our fight. And while it was a very difficult time, and it lingers with us. It's not, it's emotions, and raw emotions don't go away. it hit me that this is going to be part of our experience. We are going to come into contact with more and more people. We're going to care about those people. We're going to care about those families. And there's going to be times where we have difficult moments, and we have to be real that this is part of it. But we're going to battle together. And the important thing about this foundation, what we're doing is we're not alone. And I think every parent that I spoke to out there all had the feeling of, I thought we were doing it once. And then we start realizing this community is much larger than even we could imagine when we started off. We know that this is something that's only been discovered in 2012, the specific gene. There's other people out there that are misdiagnosed, undiagnosed. There's children now being tested coming in through the NICUs, but maybe there's not enough testing across the NICUs across the nation to kind of, uncover this or in the early stages, which is super important. All right. And this is all part of our cause. Okay. This is why we are here. And this is why we are creating the foundation. Since the last meeting that we've had, a lot has taken place. We are filed with the our 501c3 is incorporated. The filing is about to take place very soon. We're just down to just a couple bits of items that we need, which I already talked to Dante and Laura about as far as our filing is concerned. And then we're ready to rock. I met with the incorporation attorney and the filing attorney about a week and a half ago, and we got a chance to really go down to the fine detail of the information we're submitting with our 501c3 application, which is for the non-for-profit status. We got everything in the right place, and basically we just need a couple items from us, and then it's going to be submitted. As soon as we're registered and we're submitted, we can start taking donations, and those donations, once we are approved, their application will relate back to our filing date. Okay, so a lot of good stuff is going to happen very soon. I think I'm taking steps personally to see how much money that I might be able to contribute each month into this foundation. I would encourage everybody else to kind of do the same. If there's an opportunity to get involved with some passive income, if there's a real estate investment, or if there's other ways just to contribute some capital just to the foundation enough to get it running, that would be fantastic among the parents. But of course, everyone's in a different situation. It's not necessarily the expectation, but it is something that if you have the ability to do so, I'd love you to reach out and let us know. Part of this reasoning is that we're going to be raising money. But I don't want to end up in a situation where we're like, okay, we had a couple months we're raising up capital. I'm not sure if we can afford this consultant we have, and it kind of disrupts the engine we're trying to create. So if we could find a way to continuously put capital into the foundation, then we could put ourselves in a position to really kind of have this thing grow and explode as quickly as possible. Okay. So as discussed before, our 3 board members are going to be myself, Dante Harris, and Laura Atkins. Very excited about that. And as far as the foundation, I'm going to speak to just a little bit about the foundation, and then we're going to segue into kind of doing going around the room and having a conversation about different things. So the foundation is going to be 3 prongs, 3 pillars, if you will. Eventually down the road, where there's some discussion about a 4th pillar, but and some other ideas that we have a foundation. But starting up from where we are now, the 3 pillars are this. Number 1, fundraising. We need to raise capital to do what we have to do. Okay. There's some great ideas that we have, and after we're incorporated, the board is going to talk about that, and we're really going to kind of build that up. The second pillar is research. Okay, and the research that has to be done, we're going to speak to at length. I do want to share some personal news since the last conversation that we had. I received the news, ironically, the irony was not lost upon me, was standing in the Atkins home after the celebration of life after gathering. And I received a phone call from our neurologist. And as people know that have been following our story, there's a drug, Avastin, which is actually the specific drug. There's different drugs that do the same thing, falls under an umbrella, but the specific one we happen to use was Avastin, all right, because it's been around the longest. Dante's children's receiving it. Laura and Wyatt, they were the trailblazers to get this drug. But as I was at that celebration of life after gathering, we received a call from our neurologist, which quickly turned into a FaceTime call between my wife and the neurologist, and she put up the two images, from one from my son's first MRI to the last MRI that was recently taken, and the calcification process in the brain is slowing to a halt, and the cyst did not expand, and basically it was a significant, substantial improvement. It was very exciting because this tells us that it's also correcting the blood vessels throughout the body. Since that particular MRI discussion, which was quite an impactful moment, both my kids had appointments with their ophthalmologist out of Dante, what's the name of the hospital?
Baskin Palmer.
There we go, Baskin Palmer. We all share the same doctor.
Yeah.
And they said their eyes are beautiful because Ethan went since the last time we talked. Ethan had to go too. Eyes are beautiful, looking great, and it's obviously attributable to the Avastin. Yes. And I do encourage everybody to visit a video that I have on the YouTube channel, but as well as on the Facebook group. It's called Codes Plus Pathology. It explains the different paths that this disease takes. And we know the vascular issues are very substantial. If we're able to take control of there's treatment, it could lead to buying us more time, prevent some bad stuff from happening. Okay. So anyway, when we're discussing the research, there's more that we have to do. We know that there's a correlation, but we don't understand the causation between these telomere disease and those vascular issues. We need to find out why, so we can be more specific and how to be able to treat those. We understand that there's other things going on with this disease, such as osteoporosis, different types of degradation of the cells. There's something that we're going to start discussing in future meetings. I'll talk about briefly here. There's some great body of work with stem cells, and we're going to have to kind of figure that out. Right now, I encourage the group to each kind of do their deep dive when it comes to stem cells. Go down the deep dive on Google, and just try to read these articles that look like they're from a different language, but kind of try to understand the medical terms and see what we can glean from the stem cells. Because I actually had a unique experience where I just happened to run into the operator of a stem cell clinic recently, and I got a really brief education on it. And from my understanding, there are some stem cells where if you're able to give stem cell therapy, the telomeres are able to kind of go to that first generation of life. As we know that when the cells divide, they degrade over time. But with certain stem cells, it's like a reset. I want to explore that, because even if it's not a cure of the disease, it'd sure be nice to, at some point, reset, the children's, telomeres to that first generation. Maybe that buys us more time. But there's a lot of research that has to be done, a lot of different ideas. Also, stem cells are being used for the treatment of cerebral palsy. We don't know how effective it is now. What research, maybe there's something there that we can maybe, my youngest child has cerebral palsy from the birthing history he had. It'd be great to kind of figure that out. There's calcifications. There's a way to kind of combat that, some of the damaged material. We shall see. But the research is a very big component. Next, the third leg, if you will, is the awareness component. We have to raise awareness among NICU doctors, a pediatric ophthalmologist, because that tends to be some of the early places where we kind of discover this disease. And why? It's twofold. Number one, these children need to get early diagnosis, get treatment right away. For those that are on the path where the calcification and cystic process is more apparent, the quicker they get on Avastin, maybe the quicker that kind of throws water in that burning fire. Okay, the quicker we learn about it, maybe we discover other stuff with stem cells that helps the osteoporosis. So maybe those bone breaks don't occur, between 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and lead to bad stuff. So we need to get this diagnosis early, but also we need to grow our community. And we know there's other people out there. We just need to find them. Helps with the research. That's, even though it's difficult to speak in terms of this, but each one of our children carries DNA that can be studied. There's tissue, there's matter there that we need to figure out a way to collect, get with the researchers so they can really understand the disease and really find a way to kind of help. And the collection process is something else the foundation is going to help with, and we have to find get the right research team together, which we have some really good ideas about. Yana Crow and his team in the United Kingdom, but there might be other opportunities somewhere else depending on what we're trying to treat. So that's kind of what we're doing with the foundation. And while it sounds like a lot and it sounds like it's far away, it really is not. Things happen quickly. All right. And as soon as we're able to have this foundation finally registered, as soon as we're able to get the funds that we need, and we're plugging in, and we can put ourselves in a position to have people that we can hire, whether it's the consultants. There's other people that I have my eyes on to kind of be part of this group that are starting to kind of join. They're going to start joining the board member meetings. We're really going to be in a good place because at that point, people that are just focused on this alone, we all have our own lives. So I have a law practice I have to run. We can't do it all. We have to be realistic. Everybody has 24 hours in their day, and we need to have people that are just dedicated to this. Like, this is your job. And if we're able to do that, things are going to happen much quicker, and it's going to grow. Very exciting. So in that regard, as far as our outreach and the Facebook group and everything, as much as I really wish we met under different circumstances, Barbara's here for being able to connect, and that makes my heart grow knowing we were able to reach out and connect with another family in need, and she probably has some great things to speak to. I do want to take the opportunity to kind of go around the call now and touch upon everybody, give everybody time to talk and speak, and I do want to start with our board members. So I'd like to take the time to, Laura, you could really talk about whatever you want. We do know you recently lost a beautiful child, and but whatever you want to speak to, we're here to listen. So Laura, now's your time.
Okay, yeah, I just want to just say, Wyatt basically his history, and since Barbara doesn't know his history, and there'll be other people listening to this that don't know, he was born prematurely. We did not know he had Coats Plus syndrome until he was 10, because he continued to have some problems that got worse over time instead of remaining the same or got better. So they did the genetic testing. He did have a lot of struggles with the bone breaks, but the main thing that that we had trouble with were the GI bleeds, which started back 2 years ago, and they began to treat him with Avastin, which did work. The GI bleeding slowed down, and so we did that for about 1.5 years, and then all of a sudden the Avastin stopped working. So they started him on a new medication called octreotide, and then for some reason that stopped working as well. And it's just really hard to know what to say. He fought really hard, and we just took it day by day, and we kind of knew that that we had done all that we could for him, at the end. And he did, he passed peacefully, and we're so thankful for that. But he was a huge inspiration and still is. I mean, he will always be, for our family and for our community, and just for anybody who knew him. Just because he was such a fighter and such a bright light, and yeah, he just emitted love. He was love. That's what he was. So, yep. So, St. Louis Children's was amazing. That's where we got all of his treatments, and so very, very pleased with all of the healthcare that he did receive and everything. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Laura.
Yeah.
And thank you,
Love, and I saw that with the family. It was special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of it. And we're gonna lose some beautiful children and people along the way, but we're gonna continue to fight. And I think Laura's just an inspiration. carry on this fight in Wyatt's name. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, for sure.
It's in a weird way, I know that I've shared this, I think, privately with some people. It's, there was something I came across recently, one of these cheesy memes or something, but it kind of spoke to me where it was, it said, it goes something like this. It says, you're born twice. Number one, the day you come into this world, and then the day that you find out why.
Mhm.
And, I don't know why our families were chosen, but I do know that we have a choice. And in a weird way, I feel just like all of us on this call, it's this shared purpose. And it's easy to get into the grind of life and the family and going to work and this and that. And I would believe I think we all would have felt I would have loved this feeling any other way other than this. But I do feel like there's a renewed purpose and focus and just drive in my life where it's like, I know why I'm here. This is it. And I would have chosen this to be my purpose, but it was something I didn't have a choice in. But we're here now, and we only have control over what we do with it. And I just commend everybody here, and even more so the unfortunate parents that have experienced that pain, to continue to fight. And I think it's an inspiration. So I love you, Laura. And thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Dante,
Yeah. I'll just, so many thoughts going through my head. I just want to say to Laura to, thank you for still being here with us, present. I just, having met you and been around you, well, not met you in person, but obviously we spent a lot of had a lot of conversations together, excuse me. And, not me personally, not really knowing how you would respond in this moment in your life, right? I talked to Brian and just, we wanted to give you space and just to see that you're right back in here with us, Laura. You're, roll up your sleeves, as they say, and you're right back in the thick of things. Is really commendable. And, it's unfortunate that Wyatt's no longer here with us. I've told my family, I've shared this with several people, Wyatt's story. And as I'm telling the story, I'm also pointing out to the people I'm sharing the story with that, hey, Wyatt is the reason, Wyatt opened the door for DJ. Wyatt opened the door for Brian's too, for Ethan and your others, Lamb. So I just thank you for hanging in there and opening the door for us, because Laura, you did. It was your doctors who we pointed to, Dr. Marr and Dr. Wilson, right? It was the Missouri case study that we referenced with our doctors. It was called Missouri, speak to, so Wyatt was the reason that, in my opinion, we're able today to even be in this situation, because I don't think we're here from getting the confidence from other key opinion leaders across the country to talk to our doctors, to give them the confidence. We don't get that if it's not for you and Wyatt, right? And not just where we are today, moving forward with other families who we're going to come in contact with. This is a small, intimate group today, but it won't always be like this. Is the smallest it'll be, right? Sure. So, I would just say in this moment, it's been difficult for me from afar. I can only imagine for you, but I would say just in this moment, just I thank you, and just know that I truly believe there's big things that are going to come out of this. And it really, in my opinion, started with Wyatt and you. If that helps, that's how I genuinely truly feel from my heart of hearts. So, I thank you for
absolutely. And I do believe also just everybody that's had this disease before, for the most part, it's kind of like it is what it is, and there's really nothing to kind of there's nothing to kind of try or go after. We're lucky to come across that LeBrun report that ultimately had the similar manifestation that reference Codes Plus, part of Crow's group. And but the fact that we tried it with a Coach Plus patient with Wyatt, and it had results, good results. That's something that tells me there's hope. It provided hope. We got a quick win. What else can we try? You know, and it's the kind of thing where it's like this battle's not in vain. The decision to fight and then try to find something. There's other stuff out there. But yes, we're the guinea pigs. You know, we are.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we must do this, and to have a win like that, to see the MRI and it's the substantial improvement, gives me a lot of hope. And he tells me that there's other stuff out there that we got to try that maybe nobody's tried before, just to see how it goes. Okay. Dante, was there anything else that you'd like to?
No, I would prefer to stop there. I'll just let you guys know, for those who may not know or may see this call later, I'm the father of Dante Jr. He's 12, diagnosed with Coach Plus at the age of 2, spent really 11 years just alone. Finally came in contact with Paula Rosa from Portugal. But other than that, really up until Brian and Laura, I was just alone in this big old world and really trying to manage it. Today, Dante's doing okay. He's, 12 plus treatments in. We have a follow-up MRI, Avastin treatments, that is. We have a follow-up MRI on the 29th of August. So we'll see, we'll be able to compare against the baseline MRI, but, I'll just stop there. And that's just a little bit of reference for those who may see this later and kind of wonder who I am. But really just wanted to give that message and energy back to Laura on a call today. So I'm done, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, just in case anybody sees this later on, because we did share a lot the last time. I'll keep it very, very brief. Both my children have Coach Plus syndrome, both of them. Liam is 5 years old. Ethan is 2 years old now. We are at a stage where we're seeing improvement with Liam. Like he's got a tremor in his left arm and difficult with certain things, but he's getting better. Like he's able to do things. I don't. How much is attributed to Avastin? How much is natural growth? I don't know. But I do know that I feel like I'm seeing a different Liam from these treatments. Of course, my children are younger than Dante's children. They're younger than Wyatt. Wyatt was more progressed along. The hope is that some of the bad things that happen to the body through this disease maybe never occur with getting the treatment earlier on, because as we know, the varices that Wyatt had, the GI bleeds, is from having these bad blood vessels kind of build throughout the body. And if we're able to kind of stop that early on, maybe they never get there, and then maybe there's a better outcome. Again, we are the guinea pigs. We are testing these hypotheses with our children, but that's where we're at. And as parents, we just that are fighting this, we have no other choice, and that's why we're here. So I feel encouraged with my kids. Ethan has several other complexities based on his birth history, but he's the happiest freaking kid I ever met, man. I mean, you can't see too good, movement's not great, but that kid can smile and laugh. So that melts my heart when I hold him, and I feel that just happy energy just from this child. And we really hope that maybe we start seeing some positive things with Avastin PIM, maybe some stem cell stuff works, and maybe he'll surprise us all one day. And that's the dream I dream. And but we'll take it as it comes. I think now is a great opportunity to meet somebody new to this group. And I know Dante had a chance to kind of meet with and speak with Barbara a little bit. I wish we met under different circumstances, but thank you for joining our fight cause. We would love to hear your story. Just tell us about yourself. And I do think you also, and what's interesting, hold on. Okay, sorry. Lauren just sent a message of saying that she had surprise visitors. They couldn't do it today. Okay. We love you, Lauren. We'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one. Yeah.
And just I'm gonna let everybody know that, hey, watch the video. Okay. All right. So, and also, by the way, Lauren does have a child, a girl, in fact.
Sure. Yeah.
And what was her name? Was it Riley or was it
Yeah, they're out of Ohio, I believe, right?
Out of Ohio. Why is the name escaping me? I knew it. Anyhow.
Yeah, I'll dig it up for you while you're talking.
But yeah, but her child actually recently experienced a bone break. That was pretty significant from what I'm reading. Obviously, it'd be interesting to kind of see what's going on with that child's bones to see if it's related to this disease or it's just, an unfortunate typical thing that happens to an 8-year-old, I believe she's 8. I don't know, but anyway, we'll learn more from Lauren next time we get a chance to speak with her. Okay. So
Callie is her name. Excuse me. That's
Callie.
Callie. And they're in Virginia. Excuse me. They're in Virginia. I was mixed up with the Santana family.
That's right.
Unfortunately. But Callie is her name.
Yes,
Yeah.
Callie. I apologize. I was thinking about something else. All right. Anyhow, we'll have a chance for I'll talk to Lauren next time for next call, see if she wants to share a little bit about that. All right. Because that would be of a good value to the group. We also, before I turn over to Barbara, we did have a question from Paulo, I think, about having a centralized place for medical records. Because as we know, look, there's HIPAA laws, stuff like that. We're all family, so we could release this. We don't fall within the purview of doctors that can't share certain information or things of that nature. We all know, hey, I want everybody to see my kids' reports because I know I want to see yours, and we can compare notes and figure this thing out together. There is a Google Drive that I've created that is shared with Laura for Wyatt and Dante with DJ. We got to actually focus on that, actually get our medical records in there. It is kind of a struggle going back and collecting them all, but it's going to be of value. I need to open that up to everybody else in the group kindly. So Dante is going to be our onboarding liaison with the new members of the group. Dante is going to collect email addresses, contact information, and kind of start the engagement. So if anybody out there wants to become part of this group and reach out, Dante, would you kindly just verbally share your contact information, email address, so they can email you and we can open up the Google Drive to that individual so they could drop their medical history in there real quick.
Sure. So I'll start with my phone number. The best way to reach me via phone is area code 321-437-9845. 321-437-9845. Email, the best email contact is going to be abcmedrep@gmail.com. abcmedrep@gmail.com.
Perfect. And I think we'll probably need to
Post it in the group.
Yeah, and as we continue to grow, we are going to have a website. We're going to have more official email addresses at that time. But right now, as we're kind of developing in this, that's going to be the contact information for now. And maybe that's something we could share even on the Facebook page for people looking to engage. Okay. Dante, thank you for all your hard work. And I know it's a lot trying to put all the pieces together, who's who, and the information of these new members, because I know they're coming in now. But that's you're doing a great service. So we appreciate you doing that. Okay. All right, Barbara, we've done a lot of talking. I talk too much, but I guess that's me being an attorney, and maybe you're an attorney too. Maybe we can get you to talk a lot too. But we would love to get to know you. This is the same kind of experience I had with Dante and Laura. It's even though we've never met when we first met, of course. We had this feeling of whether it's the universe, whether it's God, we were pulled together for this cause, and the feeling of we're going to be together for quite some time. Yeah. You're not alone. You're part of us now. We're part of you. But we would love to get to know you. Please share your story, and also any type of treatments that maybe your doctors kind of maybe have uncovered that might be of value to the group. I've been dying to hear from you, so I'm super excited. I know everybody else is too. Just feel free to just let us know more about yourself, okay?
Okay, thank you, Brian. Please give me 1 minute because I would like to ask my mother to join, okay?
Oh, absolutely, please.
Yeah.
Okay, first I would like to say,
Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
First, I would like to say thank you for having me today, for having us today. Thank you for creating this group. And also, I would like to say my condolences to Laura's and also to Kenneth's family, okay? And yeah, I'm very happy that I found this group on Facebook. In fact, for several years, I look for a Facebook group like this, and I never found one until maybe 1 month ago that I checked again, and there was a group, and of course I was very happy and I decided to join. At some point, I remember that it was in 2020. I thought to myself, okay, there's no group, maybe you should create one. And I thought, okay, Barbara, you are the only case in Chile. Maybe nobody's going to join. So I quit and I didn't do it. And now we are here. Okay, so this is my mother, Marcela. My father is working right now, so he cannot join. Okay, I'm 35 years old. I studied law. I was diagnosed with Coats Plus in 2018. I think that I was 30 or 31 years old. I don't know. And but I have been fighting with Coats Plus disease since I was 6 years old. I remember that when I was 6, I was in the school and I had a horrible headache, and they called my parents, and I went to them, and my left eye was red, and during that day, from that day, a journey began. And okay, finally, I lost my left eye. My left eye was enucleated. I had like glaucoma and retina detachment, and okay, and they had to enucleate my eye. The doctor at that time thought that I had Coats, just Coats. From that time, I have had regular checkups with my ophthalmologist, with retina specialist, and we always thought that I just had a problem with my eyes, just that. And in 2017, my doctor said, okay, there is one doctor in Chile that is working with genetics, and he and I think that it would be a good idea that you had a DNA test. So we did it. And in March 2019, we found out that I had Coats Plus. And I remember that I Googled what Coats Plus was, and a lot of things made sense for us. In 2018, I got my first MRI of my brain, but I did not have calcifications. I have not.
I'm sorry, how old were you at that time? I apologize.
El 2018, ¿qué edad tenía?
¿Yo?
No, yo, 18, maybe 20. 30 years old.
So at 13, you had no calcifications or cysts in the brain. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, continue. Sorry.
Okay, and that year I moved to US to live in LA to study my master's, to get my master. And in 2019, I remember that I was walking and I tripped and fell down, and I broke my right femur. So then we discovered that I have osteopenia, And from that moment that I have regular checkups with my traumatologist, that in fact he's a children traumatologist, and we monitor my vitamin D and my calcium every 4th month. And okay, and in December last year, between the 23rd and 24th of December, I started to have like problems with my sight, and I in between 2 or 3 days, I lost an important percentage of my sight of my right eye. So right now I am a low vision person, and this year I quit my job and I have been working on rehabilitation. I have been working with adapting to this new life, and and learning to use the cell phone, the laptop, and my cane, and getting used to this situation. But I am planning to work again and just continue with my life. And next month, I have also knock knees, and next month I'm having a surgery to try to fix that in my right leg. Right now, the main focus on my main concern is my eye, my right eye. So I have checkups with the retina specialist in the capital, in Santiago, every 2 months and a half. And I have been I am being injected with a medicine called Eylea, and I'm going to spell it. It's called EYLIA, or you also can find it like EYLEA, and that is that is an alternative to Avastin. But my doctor said, okay, you have 2 options, Avastin or Eylea, and I recommend that you get Eylea. And so
real quick, Dante, you're taking notes on this, right?
Yeah, I've captured all of this. This is what I was I had brought to your attention before, Eylea, and it's interesting because her doctor recommended it, and I think maybe she's going to tell us the why behind why it was recommended. But I've captured all of this. Absolutely.
Perfect. I just want to make sure we're capturing this. That's all. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please continue.
And my doctor, Dr. Verdaguer, he knows Dr. Berrocal in Miami. So
That's awesome.
yeah, and so I'm not sure if he has emailed her, but because I sent him an email, but he has not replied yet. But I'm going to see him in the first week of October, so I'm going to find it out anyway, and I can let you know. Yeah, I'm not sure how to continue. So if you please have questions, feel free to ask.
I have a question. So I'm looking up Eylea right now. Eylea, correct?
Yeah.
All right. I see that because the way to, so for instance, Avastin is from like, what's it called, IVEG or something like that. The title is like IVEG type drugs, and then you have certain, it's like the umbrella, and then you have a certain type of drug called Avastin. There's another one that's like this. Now I'm seeing here this Alpha-Bercept. Is that like kind of like the umbrella? And this is one of those category of type drugs. Is that what this is? So if I'm looking up Alpha-Bercept, does that sound familiar?
I don't. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay, because yeah, this is something I definitely we're gonna, as a team, we're gonna look into. And the question is this: so as far as the treatment with that, when you were receiving it, what was the specific reason that the doctor gave it to you? Was it to fight bad blood vessels? Was it to fight something else? What was the reason for that medication?
Okay, to be honest, and I have to ask my mother too,
Okay,
to be honest, like I don't remember the technical reasons why he suggested Eylea instead of Avastin, but I remember that my doctor said, okay, Eylea is the best right now. It's the most modern and the best medicine for what you have. Avastin is yeah, it is an option too. But if you have the chance to get Eylea, then get Eylea. I'm going to ask my mother if she remembers, okay? So give me a minute, please.
yes.
¿Te acuerdas por qué?
Porque tenía menos efectos o menos riesgo, menos efectos secundarios.
Okay, my mother is saying that she remembers that
Menos riesgo de efectos secundarios.
my mother is saying that she remembers that the doctor said that Eylea has there's less risk of secondary effects with Eylea.
Okay.
It's interesting. So my my mother recently, so Avastin is used to treat, as we know, the bad blood vessels in the eyes. It's also used for not just heart disease, obviously. It's just from getting older. My mother has issues with her eyes. There's an opportunity for her to join a trial. And then we got on the phone with the doctor. We kind of learned about these different medications for her treatment, which ironically I jumped on because I want to learn more about it because of the situation we were having with our kids. And the doctor basically said that his statement was Avastin was like the first drug that was kind of used for certain purposes. But since that time, there's been other improvements upon that drug. But everyone's got so used and they know the Avastin's work. People don't want to go off that, go somewhere else when they know this works over here, but there might be better iterations of the drug. So I want to see, I'm going to do more research about this particular drug. I suspect it's probably a similar related drug to Avastin, where it targets those bad blood vessels. But
Yes.
I need to research it just to make sure that that's the case. And if so, basically, one good question that I would be interested in if you still see that doctor is maybe ask him the specifics. Say, I understand before in a general sense it had less of the bad side effects. Can you share with me maybe what those secondary side effects would have been, why it was an improvement upon the Avastin? Because where maybe in healthy patients for other reasons they see that, but for maybe our condition with our children, maybe it's even more substantial. Question: did you receive this intravenously, or did you receive this? How did you receive the drug?
They inject the drug in my eye,
Okay.
directly in my eye.
Yeah, so it's targeted. So they're using it. Sounds like they're using it the exact same way, targeted eye injection
Correct.
as the Avastin. My read without knowing any details is just to your point, perhaps this is a more modern form of Avastin. And this happens a lot in medicine, right? Avastin will kind of come in and it'll be the gold standard for years. And then there'll be another drug that'll come and they'll modify it. The biggest piece is whether or not insurance companies will approve Eylea versus Avastin, because there's a little bit more of a paper trail behind Avastin versus, at least in my what I know today. I could be totally wrong. So I think from an insurance perspective, Avastin may be a little easier to get approved, where Eylea, it may be a little more newer, but I could be wrong there.
Question, Barbara, have you had an opportunity to kind of go through our Facebook feed and kind of watch some of the videos? Have you had an opportunity to do that yet?
I have watched just a couple of videos, but I remember that I watched a video of there was a boy, and he was talking about something that I don't remember. No, but just that.
Well, I'd say there's a video that's on our Facebook group. That's also, I've created a YouTube channel, which I need to build out and get right. I relabel it. But there's a video that I want you to watch. It's called Coats Plus Pathology. Okay, it's a 20-minute video. I kind of give a presentation on it. There's some slides to kind of explain the pathology of the disease. Has your doctor had an opportunity to kind of explain to you the pathology of the disease? How familiar are you with Coats Plus and how it manifests? Has that ever been kind of explained? Sorry.
No, very I don't know whether to say very few or very little. We have talked, but in general in Chile, just my retina specialist and my traumatologist, they are the only ones who know what Coats Plus is, and they just talk about it from their perspective.
Mhm.
I haven't had the opportunity to talk to someone
fine.
like to talk to a to talk to a doctor like in general about the disease.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but right now I'm going to play one on TV. All right. So the thing is so this group probably, our group has to do more educating to doctors than the other way around. Okay. And I would say probably there's people on the call here that have a better understanding of this disease more than anybody in the world, maybe outside of Yana Crow and maybe Hillary Longhurst. So let me take a little bit of a crack at it. I'm going to try to be kind of succinct and brief in the explanation. This is all stuff in the video because I think this is why this group is important. These connections, and it's important because you're not aware of things that I'm going to make you aware of. Okay, and the thing is that this is important for your treatment as well. So what you have is you have a genetic mutation. Okay, which likely both your parents have a genetic mutation to where it's never an issue until they got together and had a child and there was a match. Out of every 4 embryos, 1 of them is sick and 3 of them are healthy. You obviously were one of the sick embryos that carried the disease. Okay, so that's at the genetic level. It has an effect in what's called it has a dysfunction in a role being played in the telomeres. Okay, are you familiar with what a telomere is?
Yes.
Okay.
Telomeres.
Yeah. Telomeres, real briefly, is the cap of the I think it's chromosome or DNA. Anyhow, it's an important role in your cellular level. Now, every day we have millions and billions of cells dying off. Okay, and a way that our body regenerates itself is through cellular division. Okay, your cells divide. Now, through that process, the telomeres, the way of measuring the strength of the telomere is how long it is. The telomere gets shorter and shorter out of each generation cycle cells. A lot of gurus have to believe this is what leads to aging. It's why we get wrinkles. It's why we get white hair. It's part of the aging process as those get compromised. Okay, so you have a genetic condition leads to dysfunction in the role of really it's telomerase within the telomere, but you have a telomere dysfunction. Okay, from this stage here, it branches off. Okay, there's vascular issues. There's malignancy. Osteoporosis and other types of issues, which we don't understand why just yet, but that's the reason for the foundation. Now, one of the most significant tracks is the vascular issues. We don't not have causation. We do not understand the cause or why this happens, but we know there's a correlation between this disease and bad blood vessels throughout the body. Okay, it's not just your eyes. All right, this is what I'm trying to explain. So the bad blood vessels in the eyes lead to the swelling and retinal detachments. That's why you're getting the injections in your eyes to preserve the integrity of your right eye. Okay. In the particular environment of the brain, because there's bleeding in the brain, leads to the calcifications and cysts within the brain. All right, in that environment, you're lucky to not have. Do you have calcifications and cysts now in the brain, or is was the last time that's been checked?
I have not checked this year, but I plan to do it soon.
It's important to get that done.
Right, but in the 2019 MRI, I thought you said it came back negative for calcifications in the brain.
But I think that's when she was younger, right? Or was that 2018?
19. That would have been three years ago, right?
Came back negative.
Okay.
See, that's fascinating to me.
I know.
That's so. And just to be clear, you came back with a genetic mutation in your CTC1 gene. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, this real quick, the CTC1, STN1, and TEN1 gene work together within that telomere to regulate. It's like a dam, okay? that keeps overflow telomerase out of that telomere. Okay, that's my understanding of it. Could be wrong, but that's my understanding of it right now. And when there's a dysfunction in that dam, it leads to these issues. So COATS Plus could actually manifest from the ST-S1 gene as well. I think there was less 10 ones, but both those genes could lead to this output. Okay, it's just a break in that dam, in that complex. So anyhow, so why am I bringing this up? We've discovered that it's bad blood vessels, not just in the eyes. It's also in the brain. It's also they're going throughout your body. Could lead to varices in the esophagus, lead to GI tract bleeding. Also leads to hypertension, which affects the liver. There's other families that we met where a child passed away from liver failure based on that. So the question is that so we're discussing the Avastin here. We're able to get the Avastin to our children intravenously. So it's being delivered throughout the body and attacking those blood vessels everywhere. So the thing is that the relevance for our situation, I'm super excited that you do not have calcification cysts in the brain. You are very fortunate. And it's difficult telling somebody that has this horrible disease, but with the two kind of paths, there's a degree of being to live to your 30s, to be as articulate, that you're a lawyer and just you're able to do all these things in your life. To me, I would love that outcome for my children. Okay, but it's in this world that we're in, it's all relative. But so maybe you're having what's interesting to me is if you're not having the bad blood vessels in your brain, it's the very same genetic mutation. The question is, are you having bad blood vessels throughout your body? Maybe you're not. But I do know that you may want to consider getting more of a complex care treatment from your local hospital. Getting that MRI done, going to the GI tract specialist. Because the thing is what's difficult with this. There's no kind of when there's a disease that affects the entire body, who takes the bull by the horns, if you will, who's the leader of this complex care team. But I think that you have to stress that this is more of an elaborate disease. You need to find out what's going on in other areas of your body. Hopefully, it'd be great if there's no bad blood vessels. Then that for our institution, we ask why. Why is this manifesting differently in your body than other children? Is there something where it's just to each individual case is different, or is there something in your diet, or is there some sort of other gene that you have in your body that tempers the manifestations of this, that you're not having the same output as our children are having? It begs a lot additional questions, but I do think the importance of bringing this to your doctor's attention. I would love, I'll talk to your doctors directly, kind of giving information. I want you to see the video on the pathology, though. It's something that it'd be good to show your doctor, so this is on their radar. What I don't want to happen is all of a sudden you wake up one day and you have GI tract bleeding or bleeding from your esophagus. You're like, what the hell's going on? Because it's not on your radar. You need to connect with your doctors and have this conversation.
Good point, Brian. Really good point. I'll just add, going back to the liver piece, you mentioned the hypertension. As you're having conversations with different specialists, specific portal hypertension, portal is what you want to bring to their attention, and you want to get tested for it and just make sure there's nothing else going on there that you could potentially get ahead of. Brian, that's great advice. You're so really, in a sense, you're being proactive. You would be being proactive, Barbara, even though there aren't any complications today, you really want to get ahead of what may be to come. I think the challenge is, at least what we've seen in the GI tract, once it starts, it can be really problematic and really, really challenging, because everything runs through the gut. Your overall quality of life and everything really starts with a lot of times with your stomach, and just how well your stomach is from a dieting perspective to everything else. So it's excellent advice Brian shared with you to get ahead of.
Another question. Outside of the drug that we discussed that was similar to the Avastin for the treatment of the eyes, have your doctors discussed any other type of treatments or anything else at all with your condition?
Just the retina specialist talked to me about the stem cells and that treatment, but he said that it has not been approved. So maybe yeah, in the future there's a chance that I can get it, but not right now. And no one else has talked to me about another treatment.
Why?
I do have a question though,
Yeah.
please. What is the first, when you have GI bleeding, when you have gut problems, what is the first symptom?
Let's let Laura weigh in. Laura, if you can maybe answer that,
Yeah.
just from experience with Wyatt, please.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, when you have when you are starting to have GI bleeding
Mhm.
or gut problems, what is the first symptom?
So with Wyatt, the first symptom that he had is he became extremely tired, really pale. We went and got his blood work done, and he was anemic. And
Okay.
yeah, and he had to have a blood transfusion. At that time, he was passing blood in his stool, but it wasn't enough blood that we could see it.
Mhm.
And then eventually, as it became worse, it was visible in the stool. But that was the main symptom, was just the anemia. And I got kind of to where I could recognize the symptoms of being anemic.
Mhm. Okay, yeah, I do have anemia, but it's very, very low. And I have had anemia since I am a child. Yeah, yeah. But I know that I have to see a specialist. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you may want to consider getting the Avastin, not Avastin, but whatever drug, the Aaliyah, maybe intravenously might be.
It wouldn't, yeah, right. It wouldn't hurt. It definitely wouldn't hurt. And this is part of our cause, right? So the Western approach to medicine, unfortunately, is reactive, right? We wait until the patient gets sick and then we react, just in general. And that's problematic in my opinion, especially if you're educated. A lot of times you don't have a choice. You find out about things and it's the symptoms onset, and then before you know it, you run into the hospital and you're in a reactive set at that moment. So with our foundation and our awareness, our job, if we're going to help patients like yourself and our own children and patients to come, is we want to be proactive with this and get ahead of it before it's too late. So to Brian's point, I would, as I'm sitting here, Brian, you took the words out of my mouth. It may not hurt just to look into possibly getting an Eylea intravenously, just to kind of get through the rest of your body and get ahead of any potential bad vessels that hopefully there aren't any, but it doesn't hurt. And this is where the side effect comes in, right? You weigh the risk. And if the side effects from the Eylea are low and your body's already come in contact with it through your targeted injections in the eye. So your body's already had some Eylea in it. So if you get it via IV, you should in theory be okay. But I would say look into that and get a little bit more aggressive, just to kind of stay ahead.
Right. We don't mean to scare you, but we do have to have these difficult conversations because we care. And I think this is something Dante could probably speak to a little more because he had more interaction with the family. Kenneth, he passed away based on the GI bleeds, correct?
Correct. And that is all I was able to capture from his mom via the message. I have yet to speak to her in person or excuse me, over Teams or anything like that. But it was definitely the GI bleeding is what ultimately caused him to expire. What I don't know is, so when I spoke to him via Messenger, I don't know if that was his first time in a hospital. I don't know if it was his, second, third, fourth. I don't, in other words, know the trends leading up to that moment. I would be really, really interested to know how frequent
When his
went to the
mother,
hospital.
I'm with you. I was thinking the same thought that you had, Dante. And when his mother is ready, she was somebody that was, pretty willing to engage. And unfortunately, we were unable to connect because she had other responsibilities. But it would be good to get some feedback from her about their story and their history when she's ready, because that's an interesting question. Was this something that all of a sudden, because he had the longer path, he was fortunate
Right.
to have the longer experience, and he was 33, I want to say.
I believe he was. Yeah, I believe he was in
33.
his 30s. We don't know, neurologically speaking, what was going on, if at all, with him, and that'll be something else.
That-
Hopefully,
Right, and the
Right.
thing is that's something that, but I would say that he's probably more aligned with Barbara than,
Barbara,
you know,
sure.
maybe some of our children. But you know, that's a good question. You know, did all of a sudden this GI bleed just happen and that was it? Or was there something leading up to some other indications of a problem? You know, but I think that this is, you know, Barbara's of the age where we need to, well, not, you know, Barbara's gonna take us, do what she has to do with this. But I think it's probably a good idea to start kind of looking there. To get ahead of it if you can.
One of the things, and again, not to scare you, Barbara, you know, obviously Laura has a lot of experience with this. That's why I pointed your question directly to her. But one of the things I do remember learning, you know, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, about Coats Plus from Dr. Crow, who was the only person really in the world that could speak the Coats Plus language. One of the things I learned from him early on was that the patients who unfortunately did expire from Coats Plus, majority of them were from GI bleeding. That was seemed to be the number one. GI and liver was like,
Yeah, both of them.
you know, more or less than a neurological, anything neurological that was shared with me, or down to the eyes. I think neurologically speaking, it obviously is a big deal, right? You see what's happening. I can see it with my own son, but again, going back to your gut health, it all makes sense to me that that can really move you really quick, and then not so good direction if it gets to that point. So
I have a question. I'm sorry, go on, Mark.
I was just going to say it might be a good idea to get established with a GI doctor and maybe do an initial endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And I know that's what they did with Wyatt. And they were able to find some varices in his esophagus that they did band. And they could kind of get an idea of what his stomach, because he did have some abnormal blood vessels in his stomach and in his intestines. And so they were just able to kind of see all of that. And so that just might be another thought to just stay on top of things. So.
Thank
Right.
you very much. Mhm.
I did have a follow-up question. So when they discussed, can you tell me, I'd like you to speak a little bit more about the, how detailed do they get with explaining some of the stem cell opportunities there? I know they said, you know, not now, but how was that explained? Did they explain that to you and how it could benefit you and kind of what their thought process was?
In fact, it was very what the doctor said was not in detail. He just said that stem cells treatment is a possibility to how do I say evitar to prevent more sight loss, but it's not going to repair the damage that it's that I already have.
right, which
So,
makes
so they're seeing this as they're treating basically the eyes. They're not really looking at the whole body. They're just looking at the eyes. Okay.
No, he's just talking about the eyes. Yeah.
Gotcha. And okay, because the stem cells has now come onto our radar, and stem cells actually might be more of a benefit to the community, not just in the eyes, but other parts of the body. As this is a telomere disease, and I forgot if I spoke. Did I talk about the reset of the telomeres on this call, or was that the call we had before we jumped on? Did I talk about it here? I forget.
That was definitely the call we jumped on before, for sure.
All right,
I don't
so
know. I think you may have stopped just shy of that point.
Forgive me if this is repetitive. I forget where I say things and when I say them. But some of the research that as my understanding, I have a very novel understanding of this. I literally started delving into this just a few days ago. As I said, we started with the Avast and then the focus, then as the foundation. But now I'm kind of, you know, starting to sniff this stem cell information. I knew generally that stem cells were of great value. You know, you put it in a certain region, and you know they replicate the cells in that region. From my understanding so far, is there's 3 different types of stem cells. The first is where they pull it out of your own body, where it's out of your hip or your bone marrow, and those stem cells can be used in other areas of the body. Okay. The next place where they can pull it from is the amniotic fluid. out of the, done from the umbilical cord typically. And those are even better stem cells. And then you have the embryonic stem cells, where it's the embryos that they pull from. Those are the best ones. Of course, there's some conflict about that, depending on the jurisdiction. There are countries like China and Germany and other places, and maybe even the Bahamas, maybe that are allowing the embryonic stem cells. Now, the significance of the embryonic stem cells is the fact that if you pull stem cells from another place of your body, interject them elsewhere, the telomeres are going to be the same at that generation because you're pulling it right from your body, right? I think that the placental stem cells might be even better, but I know the embryonic ones are the best, where it actually may reset the telomere to the first generation. So what's happening in your body right now is with each division of the cell, all right, with each generation that happens, the telomeres become weaker and weaker. And we know they become weaker quicker because of the fact that there's that dysfunction. Wouldn't it be great to have a reset in your telomeres as if it's the first generation of your life of that telomere? Now that might have a positive effect on the body. So this is something that's it's not a cure, but it's a way to, be able to battle it. So that's something that's kind of a very loose interpretation of my understanding as it is today, which can change because we're in the process of doing that deep dive. But that's the reason it's on my radar. So when you brought up stem cells, I understand how there's damage to the eye that's already done. There's something that can be done to kind of correct the damaged parts, but it might preserve some of the healthy parts. But also throughout the rest of your body, it could have probably a positive effect on your overall outcome. Okay, so that's something we're kind of exploring right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Gotcha.
It's two things for you really, really quick. Dr. Biricall is expecting, I did reach out to her, so she's expecting your retina specialist, I believe, to reach out. So definitely let them know at your appointment. I believe it's next week that Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, Dr. Biricall is expecting them to reach out to her with any questions or anything they want to know. And then the second piece is you shared something with us that was really interesting, at least with me. The recommendation to go to a traumatologist, but a pediatric traumatologist. Do you remember that conversation? Can you just share with the group why that was the recommendation? I thought that was pretty interesting, as opposed to an adult traumatologist.
Because at least in Chile, and I guess that that happens in the rest of the world, or at least in US, because of this of the preparation of the doctor who's going to have a knowledge, especially in children, they are most likely to have to know Codes Plus than an adult than a doctor for adults.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? So in other words, had she gone to an adult traumatologist, they may have been, scratching her head, but there's a greater chance that a pediatric traumatologist or across any of these specialties would be more aware of it. The takeaway is it's just super rare regardless. It is really rare. And we're going to be doing more educating than being educated when it comes to engagement with doctors.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. Thank you.
The last thing that I want to say is that doctors in general, like when I have gone to doctors and they don't know what Codes Plus is, they don't even care about reading a paper or even doing a Google search or research, and that is really frustrating. So
That's part of our cause.
Right.
And the thing is that we've learned that we have to do the heavy lifting. We're the ones that have to make it easy for the doctors to understand what's going on and what the needs are And that's just the reality of this, of our cause. So I think that, so let's talk about this in real time. All right, so you have doctors that are less than engaged because they're just not familiar with it. Maybe just, it's just a little complicated. What can we do, not just linking you with our doctors, because I think what we should do, we should have, and as, I'm thinking out loud right now, okay? As our foundation grows, we got to have some sort of medical board of go-to doctors, and maybe that's Dr. Arroyo, Baracal's got to be on it. Mar, and also, oh, by the way, Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital, the hospital that my wife works at and our kids go to, is actually now in collaboration with Boston Children's.
No, Boston Children. Okay.
Yeah, and that's where Adderall's at. Okay. Adderall was remember we had the Zoom meeting and we were impressed with that one doctor. He didn't have as much knowledge about COVID, but we liked where he's coming from.
Right.
He's somebody that we're now going to be referred to, not as primary care, but as to kind of get involvement, which is important because we're getting more buy-in from an institution that has a broader reach. But also, and he's on the board of Team Telomere. So I think that what we have to do is just take this, just growing this up. We need to identify who we need to have as our medical partners as part of the foundation, and we need to get on that sooner rather than later. But this is, I'm sorry, I went a little tangent there, but I think what we have to do is maybe put together name and contact information of some of the doctors like you've already done with Baracol, but also maybe throw on there a couple more so we can get Barbara's doctors with our doctors that have already done the legwork. We've already explained this to. But also likewise, I do want you to, Barbara, your homework is to go through the Facebook page, go and kind of click on each one of the videos and watch them all the way through and educate yourself. And really that pathology one, I want you to show that pathology one to your doctors, okay? And if they want to set up a call directly with me, no, I'm not a medical doctor, but I am a board member of the foundation to which has better understanding of this cause than anybody else. I would be more than happy to speak with them directly and share with them what I know to see what I could do to help in that space. Does that sound like it makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to share that information with my traumatologist and the retina specialist, and I'm going to let you know what they say. Okay.
Okay.
Vice versa on that. Also, have you had the opportunity to reach out? I know we had talked about introducing yourself to Dr. Crow, and I had said, hey, do you want me to start that first email just as a warm intro? Any movement there, Barbara?
Yes, we have been emailing each other.
Okay, good.
And yeah, it has been interesting. He has helped me and helped my traumatologist to get ready for the surgery next month. And he also asked for my personal information, to put me in his data. He explained me that he right now he's not researching about COATS Plus. He's researching another disease, but he's going to be in contact with me in case he finds or he knows about a new discovery that can help to improve my life, and the life of the people with CP.
Okay, good.
Just Barbara, so I know that because my kids have to go to the ophthalmologist, they go and look in the back of the eye, and then they'll get like laser surgery to cancel out any bad blood vessels. Is that the technique your doctors are using as well for your eyes?
Yes. I have had laser several times. But right now he's trying not to do laser because I can get more damage.
So I just want to put this out there, okay? We discussed a little bit about the Avastin infusions, all right, as opposed to the injections. Now think about it like this: your blood's pumping through, and you're coming in with the injection, which could help spot treat it, right? But
Mhm.
imagine a situation where the Avastin is actually coming up through the blood and circulating into the eyes. It's a better delivery mechanism. So the experience that I've had was my youngest had several issues with the eyes, a bunch of eye surgeries, low vision issues, before we realized really what was happening, quite frankly. My older son, once we discovered it, started going to the Baracol, and he had a little bit of laser surgery too. Since we started the Avastin infusions, their eyes are perfect. So the question is that maybe it's not the drug that's a problem. It's maybe not being as effective, for instance, why you still need the laser surgeries. It might be the delivery mechanism. So the thing is that's kind of, if there's no other complications, not only could it incidentally help other areas that maybe you don't know about, but I also think if it's just within the course of the eyes, an infusion might be a better delivery mechanism to help the eyes. Because I know the effects I've seen with my children. So that's something I kind of want to put on your radar as well. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I
Well,
just said thank you. Yeah.
To
Oh,
Brian's
okay.
point. So to Brian's point. So this is a text to Dr. Baracall, Brian, and this is just supports what you just said.
Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Baracall. A lot has transpired since our this is last October. A lot has transpired since our last text. I would love to speak with you for a few minutes, but I know you're super busy. We are going to have the Avastin administered throughout DJ's entire body to help with the brain and any other organs. This worked for another family in Missouri with Coach Plus, Wyatt, Laura. Neurology is wondering if by administering throughout his entire body, it'll also help with his eyes. We welcome your thoughts. And she came back and replied, yes, it does.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that reinforced the point. That's the Berica probably knows more about this disease than, as far as ophthalmologists are concerned, more than anybody else on the planet. So she's had some great experience. I think that's something to heavily consider. And just because, and forgive me if this is stuff you already know in research, but I like to be thorough in conversation so everybody's kind of on the same page and has an understanding. Avastin, I can't speak to the drug that you're on, but these drugs were originally designed to battle brain cancer. Okay. In the brain, there's a brain blood barrier. What does this mean? It means when I get sick, I might cough, I might have throw up, might have other problems, but the disease does not get into my brain because it's designed to protect the brain. It's a brain blood barrier. The disease does not get into the brain. With brain cancer, it creates a problem because there's cancer in the brain, but the drugs used to treat cancer cannot cross that brain blood barrier. Okay. So this drug Avastin was discovered. Well, like I said, it's a subset of other drugs. So forgive me if I'm just using this one drug, but the I forgot
Area.
the term.
Valeria.
I'm going to say Avastin. Avastin was created to attack, to cross the brain blood barrier, to attack the vascular structure in the brain cancers. Okay, so it's designed to attack the blood vessels. So that's why the injections is actually an off-label use of the drug because they discovered that it helps the eye manifestations. But likewise, that's kind of the scientific component about why it helps the other vascular issues in the body. Now, also because these are some of the questions that we had when we started this. It's killing off blood vessels. Don't we need blood vessels to survive? What the heck? All right, buy in. This is what is explained to me. You have the bigger blood vessels and arteries that go throughout your body, right? And from there, they branch off to smaller blood vessels and smaller. The bleeding is occurring in the smallest blood vessels out there. And the way that this drug is designed is it attacks just the bad ones. The bad ones are the ones that are being attacked. Okay. So you're not losing the good ones. All right. So it's not like killing off your veins and arteries. It's basically attacking the ones that are bleeding that are sick. All right. So so I think that's how scientifically that it works, from my understanding. And you may want to talk to them about the intravenous use of this. And of course, us as a community will provide any supporting documents or in studies that your doctors could rely upon in creating arguments for them to give it to you. Now, some of the experience that we've had, doctors get nervous about doing things that haven't been done before. They're worried about liability. They're worried about reputation. Understandably so. They have families that they have to feed as well. But giving them, the foundation of an argument to administer certain drugs in a certain way is valuable for them to cover their butt. Okay. But also likewise, one thing I did notice with my own children we were having a conversation about preventative care with our kids, and that triggers a whole bunch of red tape. Okay, preventative care is about now all of a sudden, oh, we need to get a trial for this, and we need to this, once I kind of discovered that, and I got to find out, I'm going to research the law, at least in the States, about why this is this way. Maybe it's the same there. Once the conversation shifted over to a compassionate care, where these children are sick, it's a terminal illness, and we're doing this for compassionate use, it triggers a different conversation, maybe because the liability is lower, I presume, but I need to do a little research on my own. When we shifted the conversation to compassionate care, we were able to get Avastin pretty quickly, intravenously. So just keep that in mind when you are having these conversations. Make sure people know, like, hey, this is a life-shortening rare disease. This is something that manifests throughout the body. I'm looking for something that, it's not a cure, but a way of compassion to prevent, to try to avoid the word prevent, but to temper some of the aggressive nature of the disease. So I could be in it's more of a compassionate use. And I think you're going to become more successful in those conversations. Again, like I said at the beginning of the call, you're family now, whether you like it or not. We're all family here. And feel like you could pick up the phone and call any one of us at any time concerning this matter. We are linked by the universe, by God, whatever you choose to believe. We are now a part of each other, and you could always rely upon us. Okay.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. My mother doesn't speak English. That's why she doesn't participate, but I'm going to explain what we talked to her later. And I have just one last question. I'm just we at least I am going to different specialists, like the traumatologist or the GI specialist or the retina specialist, but are you doing this are you doing this too, or do you have like a main doctor, like a I don't know, maybe
Yes.
maybe someone who knows about genetic, and he is like the director of
Yeah.
everything?
Great question. Great question. Yeah. So depending on where, and Brian and Laura, you can jump in too as well, depending on where the most compromised part of the disease is affecting you or any other patient, that particular specialty is the quarterback, essentially. For DJS, the neurologist, they're usually the quarterback, because neurologically speaking, that's where the majority of his challenges are. We all have multi-specialty teams of doctors that are part of our team, if you will. Some may be a little bit more intimately involved with that particular specialty because of their child's case. But the approach you need to definitely take would be to, there's a top 5, whether it's ortho, whether it's your GI, neurogenetics, you need to have a core, at least 5 specialists that are part of the team. You should be seeing all of them very regularly. Absolutely. The quarterback, at least for Dante's care, is neurology, because that's where, that's who's running the show, because that's where the most compromised part of his body is, if you will.
And
even more than his eyes.
I'm going to piggyback on what Dante's speaking to, and this was kind of explained to us. I think Hillary Longhurst, she's a telomere scientist, which I need to reconnect with. She's fantastic, just human being. She spent so much time with us and gave us a bunch of understanding of the disease and pathology. But what she explained yeah. So the answer, short of it, is yes. It's all over the place. Okay, you have different specialists in different areas. There's not really, you have to force the collaboration. Okay. And our institute, Joe DiMaggio's, gets that. We actually have they have a complex care, a centralized unit, which now we are part of. But one thing, I think the best answer for you is this, all right? I think you need to really get to know your doctors, their personalities, and you have to make a judgment call. Which one of these doctors has the personality to be able to influence the other doctors, that has a leadership type of aura about them? That's the one that and also if they're aligned with your goals and what you're looking to accomplish, then that should by default kind of be the one that you want to leverage. Okay. So for you, if that's your ophthalmologist, great. If that's your GI doctor, great. But you want somebody that the decision maker that's going to kind of steer the ship, be the one that's aligned with what your goals are, and that has an ability to have influence on others, and then kind of warm up to that doctor. For us, it happened to be our neurologist. We got lucky. It happens to be the primary issue with her kids as it was discovered, and darn it, she's been a blessing. She's been an advocate, and I just love her. And she got stuff done and took bold action for us. And I think that, and she has quite a interesting personal story as well, which is, I think, is why she's taken our case to heart and so serious. But she's a fantastic human being. So it kind of depends. But I think that what you do have to stress to each doctor, there needs to be this is a full system disease over a bunch of systems of your body. It's multi-systemic. There needs to be conversations and collaborations and setting up Zoom meetings like this with everybody, so everyone's on the same page, because and it's going to be upon you to kind of circle that and pull it together. Maybe even going to a department head or somebody higher up in the hospital saying, hey, I have a rare disease, it affects multiple systems. Do you have a process in place for these type of treatments where there's kind of there's synergy among all the doctors? Ask those questions. You have to be your best advocate. You have to be your best advocate, especially when it comes to rare disease, these multiple systems, and you gotta push it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Laura, did you want to add to that? Just the approach, from your end, anything you wanted to add there?
No, I mean, our main point of contact was Wyatt's neurologist at first, and then she kind of just stayed involved as Wyatt did go from two other specialists. He was seeing hematology to get the Avastin, and then when the GI bleeding came up, he was seeing the gastrointestinal doctor. But as Brian said, we were really lucky that St. Louis Children's did have everybody collaborated, and they all were in contact with one another. Anytime I would talk to them, they would always say, yes, we have an email chain going on. I'm sorry, my cat. They always had an email chain, going on behind the scenes collaborating. So we were lucky in that sense. And I don't know, it just seems like a lot of pediatric hospitals are like that. I'm sitting here thinking, like, while you guys were talking, I don't know of any adult hospital. I don't know. Do adults get that same kind of
I don't know.
treatment?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the biggest bang for your buck, Barbara, is definitely going to be to the peer-to-peer conversation. At least what I experienced, the peer-to-peer conversations, doctor to doctor, seem to go a long way. When I mentioned Avastin and proposed it to neurology, and I'm saying, hey, this is what we need to do, XYZ. She's, this is a new neurologist, by the way. So our original quarterback, Dr. Year, she resigned from the Morris Hospital. So we had Dr. Mondu and Heather Amarati as the nurse practitioner. And I remember talking to Heather saying, hey, we need to do this. My son's health is declining really, really quick. She's looking at me as if like, I'm a parent at the end of the day. She didn't even acknowledge me as a device rep at that time. So if you can imagine a doctor is really taking orders or getting a strong recommendation from a parent, kind of goes against how they practice medicine. So, but once I started to talk about the Missouri, Dr. Wilson and Dr. Marr, and was able to make that connection, it gave our doctors confidence that, that peer-to-peer. So that's where you're going to probably, in my humble opinion, get the biggest bang for your buck, is connecting your specialists with someone from our team. And that's part of our mission and our cause as well. Hey, your hematologist needs to have these Coach Plus type of conversation. Here's Dr. Naga's contact information. Here's, Dr. Marr, Dr. Wilson. I can't remember the two, Laura, I apologize, but you need a neurologist, Dr. Rojo, if I'm saying her name right. Have them speak to her. She can speak that language. That's where you're really going to, I think, gain some big strides. But to Brian's point, you're going to have to corral the troops, if you will, and at least to get the ball rolling, because doctors are creatures of habit, and if they didn't study this, and a lot of them, 95%, 99% of them haven't studied Coach Plus in their residency programs along their journeys, there's going to be some initial resistance and hesitancy, at least what we noticed early on.
Just had a thought on the side. I think what we should do is, what's the name of that app that's international? Like you can make calls. It's called WhatsApp, right?
Yes, WhatsApp. Yeah, WhatsApp is the internet.
I'm almost there. I just had this thought. In order to connect everybody, we have Zoom calls with them. Maybe we should get all like put everybody on like a WhatsApp like group text, so it's easier for communication with everybody. But I think what I do want to provide here is for Barbara. Do you have a pen and paper with you by any chance? Because I want to give you my contact information.
Mhm.
Do you have a
I
pen?
didn't understand.
Do you have a pen and paper to write down my contact?
Lápiz y papel tenemos?
Ya, te traigo.
All right,
Yes,
you
yes, I will
got
have
it?
it.
That's all right. My, all right.
Barbara, I'll text it to you as well, just to help you out.
You are sending me a text?
Well, you're going to write, and then I'm also going to back it up with this,
Okay,
with
okay.
sharing it right now, so you'll get double.
Okay,
All right.
feel free.
My contact information, my telephone number is it's United States, of course. I don't know if to put like a +1 or whatever, but it's a 954
954
801.
954
Ujú.
801, right?
Yep.
8801.
Ya.
2984.
2984
Yes.
2984.
84.
Okay,
Yep. And you also, I just pushed it to you on WhatsApp as well.
okay. Thank you
Alright.
very much.
Gotcha. And then also we have my email address.
Okay,
My first name, Brian. You can see it there on the screen. It's BRYAN
Brian.
okay.
at Esquire Closings, and that is spelled ESQUIRE.
Esquire.
Esquire, and then closings with an S, CLOSINGS.com.
I'm sorry. I will have to. I have to ask you again. Esquire, please spell it, please.
E
E
S
S
Q
Q
U
U
I R E, and
Esquire.
then it's going to be closings, like I'm closing a door. Closings.
Mire.
CLOSINGS.com.
Brian,
Okay.
you're not using Gmail anymore, this BF Dacobo at Gmail?
I check that one less frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, just throw it on the Brian at Esquire Closings.
Yeah. Okay.
Once we have the foundation, we'll all get our own.
Emails, yeah. the mail.
Exactly. It's gonna make it be a little cleaner. Okay.
Yeah.
But my work one gets checked.
Never check which one when we email that you used. Actually, I haven't. I think I just used a quick, the drop down. I'm replying to you. Did you get that, Barbara?
Yes, but I appreciate if you can send me the email too. The email address too.
Tu papá? Tu papá?
Yes.
Hola, hola, señor. ¿Cómo está?
Muy bien, muy bien.
Buena. Gracias para tu hija. Gracias, muchas gracias.
A ustedes también.
Bueno.
I'll tell you what. Let's hear it. This has been a good conversation. I think we're running a little over the hour. Well over the hour, I think. Anyway, so I guess I'm just gonna go around one more time. If there's any comments or anything, otherwise we're gonna wrap it up for this today's Zoom meeting. So I guess I'll start with Barbara. Any other questions that you have? Any other insight or anything you'd like to say? You have the floor. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say that I would like to be part of the foundation, and I can help in the way you need, maybe translating if you have a meeting
Yes.
with someone who speaks Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great idea,
Yeah.
because I think that I wish I was bilingual. Okay, unfortunately, I'm not, and I think that maybe it's appropriate that we have. I got to figure out a way to, is there a way we can do like a translate bar underneath, like, like a subtitle type thing? Is there a way to do that on Zoom meetings where it could be in Spanish, like we're talking, but it translates into
Good
Spanish?
question.
Because that would be fantastic. I would love to do that for these videos, because we do have a heavy Spanish speaking group, and maybe this manifests in such a way where maybe we also have separate conversations that are among the Spanish speaking population. I'm still going to join those and try to chime in where I can, but it might be something where, just based on the nature of the language barrier, we need to find a way to bridge that gap. So that's actually something that will keep on my radar, because I think that would be very helpful, actually.
Yeah, thanks for revisiting that, Barbara. She had mentioned that the other day, and I thought it was genius.
Yeah.
It'll be very useful, definitely, to translate day forward, because a high percentage of the Coats Plus families do have Spanish or Spanish descent. So we've learned that early on about the disease. For whatever reason, it just seemed the numbers are the numbers. So
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Barbara. I think it's been fantastic meeting you. This is the first introduction to, I'm sure, a very long friendship and advocacy partner. Laura, your turn. Anything you'd like to say, contribute, or just anything at all? It's fine.
I just want to say that I'm grateful to have met Barbara, and I'm so glad that she's joining us. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Dante?
no, I'm good. Thank you.
I'm kind of good too. But I tell you what, this has been another robust and important meeting that we've had. And we're creating a history here where anybody that comes after us could come back to these videos, and they could be caught up. And, they could learn a lot from these experiences. So that's the importance of recording these and putting these online. As we move forward with the foundation, everything's going to be more centralized in the website, which eventually we hopefully have up, in the next, I don't know, 3 to 6 months. And then it's a place where people could just Google Coats Plus, because I know you had an experience like us, Googling it, wasn't finding much, but now
When Google doesn't have a whole lot of information, it's a big deal, right?
Right. So the hope is they can type in that search term and bang, Coats Plus, yay. And I have all this information at my fingertips, and they knew to contact, and they're tapped right into our community. And that's what we're pushing for, to get there as soon as possible. And this video is going to live there with other videos as well. I come from a spirit of love. I
Yeah.
can't help it. So I think it's important for us to tell each other we love each other. I love you guys.
Love you guys. Thank you.
We're going to be in touch soon, okay?
Love you too.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.